Alright, check this out. I'm trying to understand how DNA, right? Our DNA connects us to us, and there's so much different things like to think about in this equation. So I'm gonna try to tie everything together through just spotting on a lot of things and not making this so fast or take so long. But I'm like, if in the beginning, like Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, but I don't want to explain everything that I'm thinking about or believe or whatever, because freedom of religion, I'm just trying to figure out a point for me, because if he created us in his own image, okay, awesome. But it's talking about in the beginning he created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty. So formless and empty means it had no form. So a dollar bill has form. You know what I mean? But in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It says the earth was formless and empty. That means this was formless and empty. You know what I mean? So, anyway, but he created us how? In his own image. Who? God did. Okay? So he's saying that I can create this. And I want to know how I can do that. You know? But Jesus was born like us or whatever. Okay? And he laid his life down, but he came and picked it back up again. But I want to know how he did that. But I want to see how this is me, right? This is all me. My body, my voice, my decisions. My spirit, my soul. But what about the periodic table? That's what's got me questioning about my DNA, or how to be a god or a creator. Like, and what a house is, or whose house, or so DNA is what I'm curious about. Like, what about DNA? And how how DNA knows what, like, how our DNA knows how our body is built. You know what I mean? Like, if our body needs repaired or whatever, or how big our hands are supposed to be, or knuckles, or bones, or joints, and how it remembers and everything, all that stuff, and how our strand of DNA looks and works, and how it learns infections and diseases and builds up immunities through previous family and things they've gone through, like health and memories and skills levels and different traits. And so DNA is pretty amazing, right? And it remembers a lot and passes on a lot, so what can we also attach to our DNA? What? And if it's learning something, if our DNA is learning something and it can go backwards and forwards, then what could it pass on backwards or forwards? Or or how do you make something like gods? They can go through time backwards or forwards, you know, and it talks about it in the Bible about people seeing the future. Or what about Revelations? It's in the future, you know, and somebody's telling us about it. So, the past and the future, or okay, that means somebody like God in the beginning created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was formless and empty. Okay? Formless and empty. And he created us in his own image, you know what I'm saying? So I know that it's possible because it also says God is. Okay? So God's connected to what? Where? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty. So first he created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty. But I believe God was connected to. So God is these things. Okay? And darkness covered the deep waters. Okay, and I'm just reading now. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light." And it was light. Okay, so here's what here's kind of like where I'm stuck. I'm just barely right here, you know what I mean? Like in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty. That's where I'm at in my Bible. And darkness covered the deep. Okay. Formless and empty. So, if so, but then also, but what about Adam and Eve? You know what I mean? And God was with them in the garden, and then he wasn't. But then who's with me? You know, like, that's whenever I go to this periodic table and say, well, speak things into existence. What about that? You know, like, and he speak it into existence? With the living word of the breath of life? And then he took the rib bone from Adam and made Eve. You know? But I'm sitting here thinking about, you know, all that stuff. Anyway, so I'm wanting to see, because if all things are possible, you know what I mean? Like it's talking about, I want the periodic table because it talks about, you know, ask a mountain and it shall move. You know what I mean? Ask a mountain to move and it'll move. You know, but it's got me thinking about signals. You know, like phones sending signals back and forth, or you know what I mean? Like, what about signals, sending phones back and forth, you know, like because our world, you know, everything we live in has like signals and all the stuff that is here in our bodies, you know, and how they work. But everything's tied together, right? So it's like this God is all this as well, you know. So I mean, every single